A Beggar's Ordinary Life. In a busy city railway station lived an old beggar.
Please,
Every
can
day,
you spare
he
a little
walked through
change?
crowded trains with a small bowl in his hands, asking passengers for a few coins just to survive. Life had become the same every single day, and he never imagined it could be different. One day, while moving through a train, he noticed a tall man dressed in an elegant suit, carrying a leather briefcase. The beggar thought to himself, "This man looks rich. If I ask him, he will surely give me a generous donation." He walked over, held out his bowl, and politely asked for help. The businessman looked at him calmly, and asked, "You always ask people for something, but have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar looked confused and replied, "Sir, I am just a beggar. I barely have enough to eat. What could I possibly give to someone else?" The businessman smiled and said, "I am a businessman. I believe in the rule of give and take. If you have something to offer me, then I will gladly give you something in return." With those words, the businessman walked away, but his words stayed in the beggar's mind. For the next 2 days, he couldn't stop thinking, "What can someone like me possibly give?" Then, on the third day, he noticed colorful flowers blooming near the railway station. A simple idea came into his mind. What if I give a flower to everyone who gives me a coin? He picked a few flowers and boarded the train once again. This time, whenever someone dropped a coin into his bowl, he smiled and handed them a fresh flower in return. To his surprise, people loved the gesture. Passengers happily accepted the flowers with smiles, and more people started giving him coins. Day after day, he continued doing the same thing. Soon, he realized something interesting. As long as he had flowers, people happily gave him money, but the moment his flowers were gone, people stopped giving. That day, he understood something important. People weren't giving him charity anymore. They were paying for the value he offered. A few days later, he saw the same businessman on another train. This time, he walked over with confidence. Holding out a beautiful flower, he said, "Sir, today I have something to give you. If you give me a coin, I'll give you this flower." The businessman smiled, gave him some money, and accepted the flower. Looking at him proudly, he said, "Wonderful. Today, you have become a businessman just like me." Those words changed everything. For the first time in his life, the beggar stopped seeing himself as a beggar. He saw himself as someone who could create value. Filled with excitement, he stepped off the train, looked up at the sky, and declared with confidence, "I am not a beggar anymore. I am a businessman. And one day, I will become successful." People around him thought he had gone crazy. The next morning, he never returned to the railway station. Instead, he used all the money he had saved to buy fresh flowers. He began selling them honestly. His business started small, but his kindness, hard work, and dedication attracted more and more customers. Weeks turned into months. His small flower business continued to grow. 6 months later, he had become one of the city's most successful flower merchants. One day, while traveling by train in a fine business suit, he met the same businessman again. The businessman didn't recognize him. Smiling warmly, the former beggar said, "Do you remember me? We have actually met 3 times." The businessman looked puzzled. The former beggar continued, "The first time, you refused to give me money because I had nothing to offer. The second time, you bought a flower from me. Today, I am no longer a beggar. I am a successful flower businessman." The businessman smiled with pride. Former beggar continued, "You taught me one of life's greatest principles. People don't simply pay for what they receive. They pay for the value you create." The day I changed my thinking, my life began to change. Instead of asking for charity, I started offering value. That single decision transformed my future. The two businessmen shook hands, stepped off the train together, and walked away discussing business as equals. This story teaches us a powerful lesson. Success doesn't begin with money. It begins with the way we think. If you keep seeing yourself as small, your life will remain small. But the moment you believe in your potential and start creating value for others, new opportunities begin to appear. Remember, change your thinking, create value, and success will eventually follow.